So what does practicality look like in gate 6, the gate of friction and conflict? It's called arbitration. There's a lifetime learning here. Of course, there is with all of these lines in gate 6. It says the faith derived from analytical diligence and emotional control that permits a higher authority to judge a conflict. That can be very mystical. What it really says is that time is the only authority that will allow clear assessment of the nature of any intimacy. The wave here is selfishness and selflessness. And this is, of course, being a fifth line, all about seduction. This is about being the seducer and the seduced. We call it the line of universalization, and all universalization is about seduction. This is the fulfillment of the hexagram, the fifth line. Remember, the sixth line is just sitting up on top there, not really involved in the day-to-day running of the hexagram. So the fifth line is something like the fulfillment of it all. The 6-5, they are our seducers. This is a standard keynote for a fifth line, any fifth line in any gate. They are projected on. This is the line that society wants as the expression of the gate. The projection field around this 6-5 is that they can be very open or very closed. They can be very emotional or very cold. It's all a projected field, and that's why the word arbitration is there. It's all arbitrary. It can be seen through the projection that they don't really know what they're getting. An arbitrary decision is one that is based on random choice or personal whim. Arbitration in the dictionary is defined as resolution without resorting to the courts. The exaltation says harmony furthered through the avoidance of direct conflict. Sensitivity to conflict can avoid the misery. It doesn't say that at all. Sensitivity to conflict can lead to the avoidance of intimacy. Freudian slip. And this is a resonance to the first line, to the retreat, although the 1 and the 5 aren't really in resonance at all. But there is that sort of, as an echo of the first line. That's a better way of saying it. The retreat. If you don't try to become intimate with people all the time, you don't end up with all of those intimacy conflicts. Even though you're designed for intimacy, you're a fifth line. You're waiting for the intimacy that comes to you in a time of crisis. You realize that you're alone, you don't want to be alone. You're waiting for that moment, and in that moment where it's possible, then you can turn on your seductive charms. Then you can try to break through the aura of the other and be intimate. Then you can put out your emotional wave and hope that you can bring the other in, but it has to be practical. 6-5s are never going to have anything to do with you unless it's practical. This is the lover who is happy to make the trip out to your place as long as there's plenty of parking outside, or it's near a tube station, or there's a good fish and chip shop round the corner. It's true. It's amazing what goes on in human beings, all these different roles that we play. If it's not practical for the fifth line, they're not going to get involved in a relationship. They'd rather be alone, really. Not getting involved unless it can be practical. They're going to get married because if they get married, they get a tax break. It's practical. It doesn't make it nice, but it doesn't mean at the same time that it's not based on love. Either way, it's just about being practical because that's the nature of this line. And if we take the judgment out of it, we can see it. It's just a mechanic that's playing out. Society wants to see this as the true expression of the gate because everybody wants relationships or intimacies that are practical. They do underneath it all. This is what society projects on the 6-5, because otherwise the product of that intimacy, they can never be raised in a healthy way. And the whole genetic process will then have been denied. Intimacy is a genetic imperative, remember. It's there to make sure that the right genetic information enters into the human gene pool consistently, so the species stays alive. And because of the complexity of what it is to be human, the child, the human child, has to be nurtured for at least 7 years. And that requires some serious levels of practicality. The detriment says, where a party to arbitration sees itself as the best possible judge that will only accept judgment if it is the victor. Insensitivity to the concerns of others in a conflict. Insensitivity to the concerns of others in a conflict is not practical. This is really looking for what is the nature of a relationship? What kind of bargain are we going to have? What kind of house are we going to live in? Now, this is all about being sensitive to the other, really, and recognizing whether they are the right relationship for you, the right intimacy for you. If not, don't have anything to do with it, because this kind of intimacy is there to lead to the production of children. It's very fertile. It's a very productive force. And yes, we also talk about it in terms of other intimacies, other productions, reproductions, projects, other creations, creative forces. It's not just about children, but because of the genetic imperative that is included in both the 59 and the 6 and the channel of mating, this is a huge part of it. You know, it's all about furtherance of the species. It's tribal. The tribe is nothing without members, new members coming in, new blood coming into the tribe, new children coming in to keep the tribe going, to have that continuity. So the whole thing, you know, unlike the third line, which is about any kind of genetic material, as long as it's new, and it's going to change the old form, the fifth line is interested in intimacy that can be maintained, intimacy that can stand the test of time, because that's practical. So the insensitivity to the concerns of others, one of the things to see about that is that the fifth line isn't looking for a dilemma in its relationship. You know, it's looking for harmonious relationships that are going to work. They can be very fixed in that. They don't want to put up with people who are trying to break up that harmony. Harmony. I've created another new word, harmony. So don't go breaking up your harmony. The fifth line, they want to be the ones who are the arbitrators. You know, they're going to bring peace. It leads into the next line in a way. There's the sixth line called the peacemaker. It's a pigeon. Not a blackbird for a change. We've got a pigeon. 36.5. This is the grounding force. The gate of crisis in the fifth line is called the underground. The underground, if you think about it as a force in terms of sort of warfare, you've got the resistance, the underground, all that kind of thing. Then the underground, they wait and they watch. It's another emotional gate. So maybe the grounding here comes from just a little extra impetus to wait. Don't rush into any intimacy. Let's pull back. Let's go underground. You know, let's take our time and see what's going on before we commit to anything. The moon is still in gate 25 since 7:38, in the G center gate of innocence, the shaman, the spiritual warrior. And Neptune, of course, is still in gate 25. That is right, isn't it? Yes, still in gate 25. So there is still that thing of like it's going to be veiled from us still a little bit, this innocence, the shamanic quality, the spiritual warrior. Can we see that in our lives at the moment? Because it really is a force that is hiding behind the veil. It's slightly fuzzy. So it would be, no, I just wonder what your experience of gate 25 is at the moment, whether you carry it or whether you're experiencing it through the transit. The moon then goes into gate 17 at 16:30. This is the Ajna center gate of opinion. It's a logical gate that says the ancient law that those who wish to rule must know how to serve. This is a gate that needs to understand how things work. You know, gate 63 in the head center is the same circuit. And that was a gate that wanted its answers, questions, get it the right way around, wants its questions answered logically. And here is the need to understand how things work. Again, it's logic. It's looking for facts. It's looking for details in which it can rest so that it can solidly back up its opinions. And the moon then moves into gate 21, which is the gate of biting through, the ego gate. And that's at 1:25 tomorrow morning. The gate of the hunter, the gate of the huntress, also often called the gate of control. And the moon is bringing us a channel with Jupiter, which is in gate 45 right now. So we have the money line. This is the design of a materialist, someone who thrives on being in control. But, you know, this is a manifesting channel, so it's going to have an impact. It's what it's designed for. It's a rulership channel. Control and resources, wow, they're all for the benefit of the tribe, aren't they? Thank you for joining me for line 5 in gate 6. I will be back for a 6th line day for the top of the hexagram tomorrow. Until then, hey, love yourself. Love yourself. You're going to have an opportunity to love yourself for the next week, because we're moving into the love of the body. But anyway, until we get there, love yourself anyway. And I will see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.